for bombing in front of him and then just crushed for
And he had a
40 minutes.
baby arm.
Wow. Yeah.
He had
Bang.
like a baby arm, like, no, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
And he was still talking that shit. He was so funny, but everybody's doing an asshole. And there's a lot of people like this. Like Patrice is the greatest I've ever seen, my favorite. But a lot of people would be like, yo, Patrice was kind of an asshole. But you couldn't deny him.
Patrice wasn't an asshole to everybody.
That's facts.
He was always nice to me.
Yeah, because he thought you were a real one, bro.
He's nice. Patrice was nice. He was just, you had to be able to
Don't
take
bullshit
a fucking
him.
joke. You had to be able to take a joke. You had to be able to
destroy
take it
you
right
ever?
on the chin and laugh right back.
Wow, what did he say, Joe?
Oh, he was always funny. Always. He was just always funny about everything. Patrice had a way of looking at things where we would all talk and they would wait for Patrice's point. He was one of those guys. If you talked to Patrice and hung out with him, I hung out with him in Vegas once. We were all at the backstage at one of those Opie and Anthony shows.
Mm-hmm.
He was just such a... I remember hanging out with him going, man, I wish I lived closer to him.
Yep. Yep.
He was that guy, you know?
Yep.
But luckily I had Joey Diaz. Joey's
Joey's your
the
guy.
West Coast Patrice.
Yeah.
He was very much like that. Joey Diaz was very much like that. Like we would all line up the back of the room when Joey Diaz was lighted on fire.
Yeah.
And all the people I've ever seen kill, I've never seen anybody hit Joey Diaz RPMs. He would have these bits that they were so funny that you couldn't. He could say things you weren't allowed to say.
Yeah.
Because he was like a human cartoon. You weren't even sure if he was real.
Yeah. Like, is this guy white? Is he Spanish?
His timing was fucking perfect. And he would nail punchlines and turn beat red, and people would be falling out of their seats.
Yeah.
There's multiple times I've been in that original room where I go, God, I wish we were filming this.
Yeah.
I wish we were filming this because I don't think anybody's gonna understand if they're not here right now.
You know, Fahim just put out his special.
Yes.
Yeah.
And shouts to Fahim.
Love
Go
Fahim.
check out Hat Trick. But that's that idea for the special. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Joey do that too. And because Joey, for me, I was like, you have to understand him within the space of the store.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, there's something magical about it. And I didn't understand it until I went out there and I saw him for the first time. You had been telling me a lot about him, and I remember just sitting and watching, and it was it was special, man.
I'm working with Joey in Atlantic City this weekend for the first time in years.
God
I haven't been on
bless.
stage with him in like 2
God
years.
bless.
I gotta
man.
watch him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told him, like, whatever you want to do. What do I have to do to fucking get you back in there? I'm like, dude.
Is this his first time back on stage?
No, he's been on stage a bunch of times.
Okay, good.
He did a bunch of shows with Brian Callen, and he's tuned up. He's ready to rock. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't believe we got him back. Yeah.
Nah. Yeah, Joey's a fucking beast.
He was like, you have like specific roles in like these communities, you know? In the Comedy Store community, Joey Diaz was just pure chaos. You would drop him in, and like during like the drug Joey days, like during the early days when he was like a straight up criminal, he reminded me so much of my friend Johnny. So much.
Johnny, who's
Pool hustler.
The pool hustler.
the pool
who's
hustler?
dead.
Yeah.
Joey was like just like him.
Yeah.
Like a wild dude from the streets, but like a good dude.
Yeah.
Like I knew he was a good solid dude. And we were friends like instantly. And he would come to the news radio set, and he was a gorilla back then. I mean, he was like way thinner and like built like, don't you do it.
Yeah.
He was wearing a leather jacket, built like a football player. And all those NBC studio executives would get mad because he was eating all of their
Snacks. Okay.
Let the man tell
like,
the
who
story.
is
Jesus.
Christ, you fucking child, you children. I would laugh too. I would laugh too.
So wait a minute, he would just show up to set just to see.
I would come with him. I would bring him with
But
me.
he wasn't on the show. He was just
No,
hanging
he's
out.
my boy.
Getting off track, Andrew.
This is like 1996.
Yeah.
You know, we were both like, I was probably like 28, and Joey was like a little older than me. And Joey had just got to LA straight from prison.
Wait, did he?
He's always in and out of jail. I think he was like running from something in Seattle. He had to come back to LA. Like there's a warrant out for him for the longest time. He couldn't get a passport to go places because all the he kidnapped a drug dealer with a machine gun.
Fire.
Wow.
Yeah. No, Joey Diaz did real time. Joey Diaz is, but he's a uniquely beautiful soul. And even though I knew all that shit that he did real time and everything, I'm like, I know what you are. I know what you are. You're a great guy who just had a crazy life.
You collect these guys.
These guys are valuable. They're everything. They're
Yeah.
life, man. Those are Sam Kinnisons. Those are the Richard Pryors.
But why do you think?
Because they don't fit in, and that's how you see what it is for real. Like if you're not a part of it, you see what it is for real.
Because you don't have to operate
You're not
based on the
operating
part
in
of
that
it.
system.
Yeah.
Joey
yeah,
Diaz found his mother dead on the floor when he was
Yeah.
on acid.
No, that's what it
when
is.
he was like
Yeah.
14 years old.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No, when you're a part of a community,
when
you
he
gotta-
tells that
yeah,
story,
yeah.
your fucking your goosebumps
Yeah.
just stand up. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's like those type of people from that angst and that unusual view of the world.
Have to find themselves.
Yes.
And sometimes themselves is a little outside of the norm. It's outside of the group.
they find
Yeah.
it through the most potent form of entertainment.
Yeah.
All of our great rock stars, all of our great comics, all of our great hip hop artists, all of them come from crazy backgrounds. Not all of them, obviously. That's a big generalization. But I'm trying to make my point.
No, I understand what you're saying. I think that
You don't get it, Joey Diaz in a suburb.
Yeah.
yeah,
They don't-
but
they don't
more,
turn out
it's like
that.
there's a freedom to being outside if you're willing to harness
Yes.
it. And the freedom is you get to actually find who you are.
Well, the reality is there's no real outside. Like people feel like they're outside, but so many people feel like they're outside. There's a lot of people. And when you go to a comedy club, all the other people also feel like they don't get it. They laugh at your point. They go, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if even it's what you're saying is wrong, but it's funny. It's like that's where it's like we're fucking with the wiring. One of my favorite bits that you do is that bit that you do about countries where they treat their women terribly.
Got the
But-
best food, boy.
The best food. You ever eat Canadian food? That bit is so good. Because like if you were a terrible person, you wanted to misrepresent who you are,
Yeah.
you would write that, oh, this is just saying that women belong in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not what they're saying.
No.
That's not what you're saying. You're saying something funny. It's a funny thing to say.
I did this talk, like Noam from the Comedy Cellar. Do you know Noam?
Yeah.
You would love Noam. Like you
I know
guys.
Noam.
Okay, good.
I worked at his club way back.
I know, but he's an interesting guy.
No,
like,
Andrew should connect you with Noam. I don't think he knows him.
I can get you an audition at the Comedy Cellar. Like that
could be good for you, dude.
Yeah,
That
I
could
got
be
you.
good.
Yeah. No, but
Moving on up. Shout out to all these comedy club owners,
But
man. Without them,
he had an interesting conversation. He had this like talk where there were these like intellectual dudes. This guy named Glenn Lowry. Do you know?
Yeah,
Glenn
sure.
Yeah. So him and a few other dudes, and they had some comics on stage, and we were just talking about random things and comedy and political correctness and culture, et cetera. And there was just like a moment on stage where I was talking like we should never be together. Like we don't have to have these conversations because you guys say what's right and we say what's funny. And I think what happens is the people that say what's right expect the people that say what's funny to be right. And that's where our jokes become more than jokes and where we get in trouble. If we're just out here just making jokes and talking shit and just being funny with no stakes, and then people look at us and they're like, oh no, these are the next intellectuals. They are going to tell us how to think. That's when we can't make the craziest jokes.
well, one of the arguments is that like if you say crazy things in the name of being funny, then other people that are not as smart as you will say those things and they'll be hurtful. They'll feel like they have license to say those things.
Maybe.
I had a drag queen tell me that after a show.
Maybe.
It was very intimidating. She was wearing Kiss boots. But it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know if you're responsible for the dumbest people in your audience.
You're not.
I don't know how that works.
You're not.
And I feel like at a certain point in time, we have to agree that most people love comedy. If you don't love comedy, you have to opt out of this conversation. So if you love comedy, you must agree that a lot of what people say, they don't mean. They just think it's a funny thing to say. Like, this is an art form. Just like Quentin Tarantino is not really killing women when he's making Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
this is what we used to say about
There's no
violent
dead
movies.
women involved in the production of that movie.
Yeah, the
Right.
violent movies, violent rap,
Yes.
Eminem getting
All
all
those things.
Let's just move toward comedy. It'll move on.
But it's
eventually.
also like the problem is it seems like you're just talking. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's not like something
Right.
you've created that you've manipulated language
Yes.
in order to get a surprise result that makes people go bah.
Yeah.
And it seems like your statements because they sound just like everybody else when they talk.
Yes. But I also think it's because that's how we feel and we can have wrong feelings. And I think that's the biggest difference.
What's wrong though? If you feel it,
No, I mean,
Like, you don't have to
somebody might
like
cut
it.
you off in traffic, and you might think the worst possible thing for that car, and then 3 seconds later you go, it was just
Yeah.
upset in the moment. Don't people
Right.
like get out of? Don't people like?
Oh, yeah.
they
No
don't get
rage.
life in jail for murdering somebody because they had moments of rage.
You know what that's from?
Temporary insanity.
Temporary insanity.
You know-
yeah.
you know what that
That's
road
what
rage
comedy
shit
is.
is from?
Temporary insanity. This is my crazy thought in the moment, and then I'm gonna say it again, and it's gonna be funny, but I don't feel that way anymore. Simple as that.
What are you saying?
Comedy's temporary insanity. My funniest moment, my funniest thought, and my knee-jerk reaction to something, and I'm gonna craft it and add words and add ideas and wrap myself around it.
No.
What?
Yeah, like,
Marijuana might not be for you.
Yeah, like, what you say right
We
now?
went.
Like, nope.
You were trying to defend some insufferable position.
Nope.
Yo, the joke about the woman food thing.
He didn't say.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should
He
actually
didn't say
treat.
it was a wrong position. He said it was insufferable.
No, that's a great word.
It's a very
You
specific
can
word.
throw people off your trail. And it's like
Everybody's
covering your tracks with
Insufferable
leaves.
means
crafty.
it
It's
sucks.
crafty.
It doesn't mean it's wrong.
It's a good word.
It means it's shitty.
It's a solid word if you're trying to be deceptive. If you know trying to obfuscate, whatever.
Obfuscate. Hey, somebody got a high score on his SATs.
Let's
yo.
go, bro.
Yeah. Fuck it. Yeah, fuck it, dude. Let's just make the jokes. Who gives a fuck what anybody says about it? If they want to write think pieces, who gives a fuck?
Maybe
Well, the
Bo
thing
Burnham
is,
makes
it's
a
like they
hilarious sketch.
represent a valid group of humans who have their opinions. But the problem is if they try to impose those opinions on people who have different opinions. So there's some people who love shit talking comedy.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Yes.
All right. If you want to pretend that everything I have to say I always mean, I'm checking out. I'm not interested in doing that.
Yeah.
I want to talk the same way I talk around my friends.
Yeah.
I want to talk the same way I talk around comics.
Yeah.
We know we're all having fun and talking shit. And I want to do that to the moment they say, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan, hey, what's up? I want to talk to those people like I talk to my best friends. I want to develop bits that are as funny as I can make them. And I don't mean all the things I'm saying, but I'm gonna hit you with the best shit I have.
Funny is in the outcast. Whether that's like the person on a TV show that's weird or the thought that's a thought that should get you outcasted on stage.
Like Kinnison.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate outcast.
Yeah.
Right? Wearing a beret and a trench coat.
Yelling at you.
Screaming, used to be a preacher. What the fuck happened to this guy?
Yeah.
Ultimate outcast.
Right.
What fucking class of people does he fit into? He's out of the Christians. He's gone. Like, where's he fitting in? Hollywood? He's like 5'4". He's fat as fuck. He wears a beret.
Yeah.
He's got a trench coat on. But when that dude would get on stage, you'd be like, whoa, what is this, a new kind of comedy? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And all the people that have ever like completely ignited a completely different style of comedy, he's my number one.
Really?
Yeah, man, because out of nowhere, he's doing this wild, screaming, yelling, like passionate preacher comedy.
Yeah.
He was doing a fucking tent revival preacher comedy.
Right.
That's what he did.
He was one
He
of
used to be
Rock's favorites, which kind of makes sense.
Dude.
Because they're both essentially preaching.
Yes. But Rock, he's one of Rock's favorites because Rock saw him in like the 86, 88 era. I saw him in 88. I got to saw him. 88 he was on the slide. And this is as a lifelong diehard Sam Kinison fan. I'm not saying this in any disrespect. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. But I think you have to judge comics as like the highest RPMs that they achieve. Just the same way you have to judge fighters. Like people say, who's one of the greatest heavyweights of all time in boxing? I say Mike Tyson. Because Mike Tyson during his day was a fucking destroyer.
Yeah.
And maybe it only lasted a few years, but he's the guy who comes to mind for me because I grew up during the era where Mike Tyson was the executioner.
Yep.
So I feel like that about like almost everything. Like almost everything has to be judged by the eras in which it happened. Don't you think that's the case?
Yeah.
And for my money, Sam Kinison during that era was just a fucking new thing. Nobody had seen anything like that. There's this guy with a fucking trench coat and a beret, and he's screaming about going to hell and how Satan's gonna be like, oh, you've been married? Oh, this is normal to you. We'll show you the place where we torture souls.
Yeah.
You know, like he had this thing where he would scream at the audience.
Yeah.
I've been married twice. Hell would be like Club Med. He was this fat guy screaming. Hell would be like Club Med.
Med, yeah.
I've been married twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like no one had seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And he had like knowledge of the Bible.
That's yeah.
He would do like biblical knowledge in the middle of bits.
It's like if Bill Hicks was funny.
Oh my God! Shut your mouth. I saw Bill Hicks murder.
Really?
Murder.
The
I saw
whole
Bill Hicks
audience
bomb
commit
too.
suicide because
I
they
saw
got
him bomb.
45 minutes of his set.
You don't like Bill Hicks?
I hate that guy. Dude.
Really?
Maybe I hate his fans, but like people that still walk around like Bill Hicks was the greatest. It's like, come on, bro.
I'll tell you
Stop
what.
pretending you like
Listen
this
to
shit
me,
in
man.
2020.
There was a fucking green room at the Punchline in Atlanta, and it had everyone graffitied all over the walls. And in one part, it said, "Quit trying to be Hicks."
Yeah, he had.
And it's true because he made you feel like you were doing something stupid. You were so jealous of him, and so I was lucky. I got a chance to see him when I was an open micer, so I was just starting out, and I saw him twice. And one time he murdered, and one time he bombed.
How was the bomb?
I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing. And me and Greg Fitzsimmons and a couple other comics, I don't think are doing it anymore. We're on the back of Nick's Comedy Stop, and he went on after a dude who was a very regionally funny, like middle act, very, obvious premises, but did a good job. Had a good set. And Bill Hicks ate cock. He ate cock for the majority of his set. And people were just getting up and leaving. And while he was doing this bit about, it was some bit about someone taking a shit. So he's in the middle of taking a shit. I forget exactly, I don't want to butcher it. In the middle of taking a shit, he's like, He looks up, he goes, "This usually clears a room." and people are like leaving in droves. It's like a 300-person room. By the end of it, there's maybe 50 people and maybe 10 comedians, and we're fucking crying, laughing.
Yeah.
And he never looked phased. He never looked phased. And we were howling. And we weren't howling ironically. We were howling because the shit was funny.
Yeah.
It was just so dark.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. It was like some of his stuff was so funny. It was different than any other kind of comedy. So it was like comedy from a dude who recently did mushrooms and was reevaluating everything. And that was like pretty much what was actually going on with Bill.
Yeah.
And then he quit doing drugs and he just dedicated himself to like getting like messages out in comedy. And the problem is back then, no one had a fucking podcast, man. So you had to be funny. And if you had something that you felt like people needed to know about it, you had to figure out how to put that into comedy. It's too complicated.
Yeah.
It makes people preachy.
That's okay. That's what I heard. Then.
Yeah.
So I do. In
But
fact,
doesn't
know
that
about
happen to comics as they get better, as they get more famous, as they get more successful? They become more preachy.
Watch Louis C.K. He's not preachy.
Yeah, Louis is
Dave Chappelle is not preachy. Dave Chappelle is expressive. He wants you to know exactly how he feels about things, but he's the biggest comic alive. He's not preachy.
Yeah, I think a bit.
I hate that noise.
What do you think?
He's trying to express himself in the most honest and compassionate way possible. He's a beautiful person. No. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like genuinely always nice.
Yeah.
Very rarely angry at any. Even if he's mad at someone who's trying to ruin his career, he'll have a joke or two about it. And they'll be like, bah! And then everyone's laughing. Have you seen Jamie Foxx's impression?
So good.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
We talked about this. Is Jamie the most talented entertainer?
Maybe
alive?
ever. Maybe
ever.
Maybe
Like,
ever.
Yeah.
Impressions.
Yeah.
Singing. He can play the
Athletic.
piano.
Yes.
Wait, I didn't know.
Dude, he played
that's right.
high school
played
quarterback.
ball. You were saying that's right. That's right.
No,
Yeah,
Jamie
that's right.
Foxx can do anything. He's one of those people that can literally do anything.
Yeah, here's the
You
impression.
want to run it back?
Yeah, run it back because it's so
I
preposterous.
ran up on stage. I was incensed.
I was in France.
Pow, nigga.
Come on.
Thank you for Jamie Foxx. If you're ever in trouble, Jamie Foxx will show up with a sheriff hat. And all the other comedians just stood there. They're waiting on me to die. So they can take over.
Even the
I see Chris
physicality.
Rock.
Everything.
I see you, Chris Rock.
Bro,
I mean,
he's the best.
that's if you blindfolded me, I'd go, "Oh, that's Dave Chappelle." What are you talking about?
Yeah. Now
What am I,
Dave's just
stupid?
Yeah, Dave's
Who's
just
that?
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. It's preposterous.
Yeah, I want the Jamie Foxx documentary. He's just done everything. Like his life is so fascinating.
You know what? I think his work speaks for itself.
What do you mean?
I mean, I don't need a documentary.
Oh,
But that dude,
I'm
I need that
25.
dude. I don't want to interrupt. Keep going.
Yeah.
Do whatever the fuck you want to do. I want to see how he plays Mike Tyson. He's gonna play Mike Tyson.
Oh, that's crazy.
I bet it's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah.
He does an amazing Mike Tyson impression.
Yeah.
And he also is of that age who grew up during the time when Mike Tyson was the dominator.
Yeah.
So he knows what that really was like. It's like you're not recreating that. We experienced that.
Yeah.
You know,
why do you think
Mike Tyson fought Bruce Seldon? Bruce Seldon looked like a comic book superhero, and you could see the fear in his eyes when he fought Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson just looking at you like there is not a chance in the world that you're gonna survive.
Oh, hells yeah. We got
we go.
pizza, bro.
Oh, Dove.
What do we got?
What a legend,
I gotta
bro.
pee again. It
I
looks
have
like a
one,
lot of fun
Alex?
if you hate your body.
Come on, son.
Like really?
Before take this.
Yeah, it's not fun if you're a fat ass.
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I wish I could have some.
No, I love my body.
I would if I was hungry
I'll take
and I
a
didn't
slice,
have dinner reservations.
Let me get a
I
plate.
would fucking eat the shit out of that pizza.
Joe, we gotta wrap this up, bro.
Please let us. It's an honor to be here in the new studio.
Thank you so much for always
Yo, thank
supporting
you,
me.
man.
My pleasure.
People need to know you're a great guy.
God damn it.
They know you're great, but I don't think they know how great you are. I think it's very, very rare that people in your position are this benevolent. And I think that you set a tone that the rest of us try to follow.
Well, that's so nice of you, but I think it's good for everybody.
And I know you think it's good for everybody, but I think that, like, if the guy on top is doing it and you don't do it, you're a piece of shit.
Right.
And I think that most people on top don't do it, and that's how they get to the top. And I think that's what was so profound about what happened with you is that everybody underneath you was like, no, I gotta look out for my boys. I gotta put them
Gotta
on. I
pay
gotta
it
help
forward.
them build their thing. Exactly.
Yeah, they
And,
all took the same sort of strategy.
Yes. Yes.
It was just the right path. It was just like I saw that path. You know, it was just the right path. It's not like a big deal in terms of what it really is what we should have been doing all along. But we were all like scratching and clawing to try to get Hollywood gigs. You know, and I think once the internet came along, it gave comedians this completely new network of everybody became an asset, not just like a competitor. But competitor is good. Like if you train at a jiu-jitsu gym, you want to train at a place that has black belts because you want to be able to get to a really high level and you want to know if your stuff is bullshit, right? So if you pull something off and you can pull it off on a purple belt, but the black belt keeps fucking it up, that might be bullshit.
Yep.
And you don't find that out. Like the same way with comedy. Comedy doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
If you go to a place that doesn't have a comedy community, you never find the best comic in the world. They just, I don't want to say never, but it's super rare if that's ever happened. I don't think it ever has. It's a fucking new art form, right? We are really clearly indebted to each other.
Yep.
And the only way to recognize that is to reach out to each other and to say it. And to just like express, I try to express it all the time when I'm in my green room before my shows. I'm like, we are so lucky. We're so lucky we could do this. This is the craziest thing in the world.
Says that all the time.
Beautiful. Gratitude is, it sounds like wooden beads and crystals, but it's fucking real.
Yeah.
That shit's real. Like
Yeah.
gratitude is real. It's like you're putting an energy out there that makes people feel good and it makes people want to do the same.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I just don't think we realize that until you.
Yeah, I
Well-
think that, yeah. I think that you made people, I think you guilted people into liking something. Like, I think you were doing it. So if somebody else didn't do it that was under you that maybe put them on, or somebody else was trying to emulate you, they're going, all right, well, Joe's doing it, I got to also do this. And then when somebody starts to do it, it's like the altruism kick in. There's a dopamine release for altruism. You
Yes.
help someone out,
Yeah.
you start to feel good. And then you do that, and you're like, oh my God, I really enjoy doing this.
That's the thing that people need to realize. Like being nice is great. Feels
Yeah.
good. Feels good to everybody. When you make people feel good, you feel good too.
Yeah.
You know, it's good for all parties involved. It's not a selfish, one-way endeavor. If someone gets success, it should be good for you too. You should be happy for them, and then they're happier. Like you're happy, and everyone's happy, and we can all like sort of like go through this weird thing together. Because we don't know what this is. You know, every day you wake up and you try to pretend like all of it makes sense, but you fucking shut your brain off every night and you go black for like 8 hours. You're gone in another dimension. And then you wake up in the morning and pretend that any of that shit makes any sense. All of it.
That's
We're
true.
so accustomed to going unconscious.
Yeah.
Literally having dreams. I had a dream that I was spearfishing in a fucking tunnel that was in a cave where there was Mayan artifacts. What the fuck is that? What is that? But it was vivid.
Yeah.
In the dream, it was vivid. It was like I could see the paint and the gold and red paint on these artifacts. I was like, this is wild. We're in a cave system.
Yeah.
Spearfishing. Wake up. Nope. Back in Texas.
And then you just go about your day.
Yeah,
like it didn't
back in my
happen.
day, like I wasn't just living in another world.
Yeah.
And we're all going through this. This is craziness.
Yeah.
Are the aliens real or not?
Tell me, bro.
I don't know.
We're gonna find out though.
You know the first time we ever hung out? This is after we did the podcast.
Yeah, tell them.
We went out to dinner.
I don't think anybody knows about this.
They might not. You tell me, hey, what are you doing for dinner tonight after I do the pod? And I'm like, well, shit, I don't have any plans on in LA. He goes, well, come to dinner with me at the, what is it, the all-you-can-eat Brazilian restaurant? What's it called?
Fogo de Chao.
Fogo de Chao. He goes, come to Fogo de Chao. And when you type it, I don't even know what food we're eating. I got to Google it, right? It's like, okay, it's a Brazilian restaurant. So we go, and you're like, we're going to come with Bob. I go, okay, cool. And we go with Bob Lazar. This is the guy who was working on the UFOs.
Yeah, and I explained to you who he was because I wanted you to get a read on him.
Yeah.
Because I wanted you to decide whether or not you thought he was bullshit. This is a guy